Hello my lovelies! Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Emily and I am your #1 romance girly. For today's video, I am doing a reading wrap up of all of the books that I read in January. It's the end of January. It was actually February now. Like, where is the time going? I just don't understand. But anyway, January was an interesting month for me because I was really ill, as I mentioned in my last video. So I didn't get round to all of the books that I wanted to read in January. However, I still managed 13 books. That's still pretty good, right? Considering there was a few days where I didn't read at all. I'm pretty proud of that. Okay, so the first book that I read in January was Heavenly Bodies. I'm not going to go too much into this series because I did do a reading vlog of these books. However, absolutely loved this book. I knew I loved this book because I read it the start of last year, but I couldn't remember it, so I reread it again so that I would be ready for Fallen Stars, and I loved it just as much the second time as I did the first time. 5 stars. Loved it. If you love like enemies to lovers and like slow burn, it was so good. But as I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I already done that. So if you're interested in these books, go and check out my Heavenly Bodies video. And then Fallen Stars, again, I was really disappointed in this book, guys. I was really excited for it. It just didn't hit for me. I think I ended up giving this 3 stars. It was a bit all over the place, but as I mentioned, go and check out my video and I'll explain everything to do with it and why. But yeah, not my favourite, which was a bit not great going into January, if I'm honest. I decided to go for some light-hearted romance, and I thought January, hockey season, right? Did I get that right? I don't know. To me, it seems right. So I started on the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. Now, these books had a lot to live up to because I just finished the Windy City series and I absolutely love those books. So this had a lot to live up to and it didn't disappoint. When I started this book, I have to admit, I had to get into the writing a little bit because it was very much in your face. Definitely check trigger warnings before you go into this book because, I mean, I wasn't triggered personally, but there was heavy topics coming up on the first page and I was like, whoa, that's a lot. But once I got into it, I really, really did enjoy this book. So this follows Hannah and Garrett. Garrett currently lives off campus, which is why it's called the Off Campus series, and all of these books are based off a different guy that lives in their housing. They're all hockey players. I loved it. This is based on Hannah, who really has a crush on a guy called Justin, and they don't run in the same kind of circles. So when Garrett fails his philosophical ethics class and sees that Hannah aced it, he's like, I need that girl to tutor me. So he is pestering her to tutor him, and he finds out that she has a crush on Justin. So he is like, I will help you get Justin if you tutor me. So that is what they end up doing. So they end up fake dating, and that turns into like friends, and then friends obviously turns to lovers. I loved this story. I loved how Garrett turns from like this arrogant, everyone loves me like attitude to like seeing the softer side. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I gave this book 4.5 stars. Loved it. We then go on to The Mistake, which is Logan and Grace's story. So Logan is another guy that lives in Garrett's housing. He's also a hockey player. I kind of struggled with this book, not because it wasn't good, I just didn't enjoy it as much as The Deal. So Logan ends up going to a house party in their university college. He ends up going to a party, but he ends up knocking on the wrong campus door, and he ends up knocking on Grace's door. Grace invites him in and she is watching a movie and he's like, oh, I love this movie, and she's like, well, you can watch it with me if you want. So they end up like watching this movie and they end up doing bits, and then he just leaves. It's all a bit weird. He really fancies Hannah, which is Garrett's girlfriend, so he's like hooking up with everyone to try and get over her. So he hooks up with Grace, not really thinking anything of it. Grace hasn't been with anyone else, so for her this is like, whoa, this is all a bit strange. And then they keep bumping into each other and they keep hanging out, and yeah, it's all a bit strange. But then Grace admits to him that she is a virgin and that she wants to have sex with him, and he's like, whoa. He's like, no, that's not happening. Absolutely not. He packs up and he leaves. And she is like, what on earth just happened? So obviously she is really upset. He's completely ruined it. Oh, I don't want to give too much of the story away, but yeah, they end up having an argument, and it's kind of Logan trying to win her back. Not my favourite. I gave this one 3.5 stars. We are bringing it back with the score. I loved this book. I actually think this was my favourite in the series. This is about Dean and Ali's story. This starts off very extreme, and I haven't mentioned, but all of these books are quite spicy. So if you don't like spice, probably give this one a miss. But this one especially, very, very, very spicy. And to be honest with you, when I first started reading it, I was like, whoa, this might be a bit too much. But I loved Dean and Ali's story so, so much. So Dean, again, lives in the hockey house. He is... he hooks up with everyone, basically. He is a man, if I can say that. Maybe I'll have to beep that out. And he basically sleeps with everyone. It's not a big deal. He just doesn't want a relationship. He just wants to sleep around, whatever you're into. Ali has currently broken up from her boyfriend, who she's been on and off with for 3 years, I want to say, and she doesn't want to see him. So Hannah, who is her best friend from the first book, so again, these are all interconnected, so all the characters show up. Hannah says to Ali, go and stay at Garrett's house. We're away for the weekend. The only person there is going to be Dean. Like, just get away and you won't have to see your ex-boyfriend. So Ali goes and stays at the house. Dean is there. They may end up hooking up. And Ali is mortified. She is like, oh my god, I can't believe that just happened. Like, I'm not like that. I don't just sleep around. And she's like, this is never happening again. And Dean is like, whoa, that's never happened to me before. And he kind of catches feelings for her and he finds her attractive. And so they kind of end up keep coming together. I loved this story. 5 stars. The next one is The Goal. Again, I absolutely loved this story. This is about Sabrina and Tucker. Again, Tucker is another guy that lives in the hockey house, and Sabrina is Dean's enemy. Dean warns everyone off Sabrina. He's like, she is crazy, like, don't even go there. But Tucker fancies Sabrina. Tucker really likes her, and she is currently studying for a law degree. She is working 2 jobs. She is in a really bad situation. Her housing situation is not great. She lives with her nan. Her mum left her when she was younger, and she also lives with her stepdad. So he used to see her mum, but her mum's left, but the stepdad stayed in the house. It's all a bit strange, and the stepdad is vile, like vile. He was obviously with the mum, and then he was seeing the nan, and he wants to see Sabrina as well. It's all a bit strange. Sabrina is in a really rubbish situation, and she is like, I need to go to law school. I need to change my situation. I need to get out of here. She's trying to get into Harvard, so she's working 2 jobs to try and be able to afford that life. And then Tucker comes along. And she's like, I don't have time for a relationship, like, I've got too much going on. And Tucker wins her over. And I don't want to go into too much detail, but there is quite a big plot twist in this. Loved it. 5 stars. And then we end it off with The Legacies, which is about all the characters as like a final book. I hated it. I hated it, guys. I hated it. I loved the idea of it. I really like the idea of like having one final book to show where the characters have ended up. However, I don't think this was done well, in my opinion. I'm not going to go into too much detail because, like I said, it's their lives after, so I don't want to give too much away from the other books. It wasn't great. You didn't really need to read it. 2 stars. Okay, the next book that I read is a thriller to try and break everything up, because I don't know, when I read a whole series at one time, it's just a lot, isn't it? So we went with Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. This book started really great, guys. It's about a guy called Grady. Right at the start of the book, he finds out that he is a New York Times best-selling author. So he calls his wife, who is driving home from work, to tell her that the biggest news of his life, basically. And she's on the phone, she's like, yay, like, well done. And then all of a sudden he hears her brakes, like, he hears her slam on the brakes. There we go. And he's like, oh my God, what's happened? And she's like, there's someone lying in the middle of the road. And he's like, okay, call the police, drive home, like, not your problem. And she's like, no, I can't do that. I have to go and see if they're okay. He really doesn't want her to go, but she's like, I have to. So she gets out of the car, she leaves the phone on, so he's still connected to the car. She leaves the phone on, she goes out and checks, and that is the last time Grady hears from her. So he's like, hello, hello, and there's nothing there. So he runs up to where the car is. No one's there. The car's there, the headlights are on, everything's still in the car, her bag, everything, but she's gone. So he's like, that's really weird. And then it goes on to a year later where she's still missing. Everyone's kind of saying she's probably dead. Like, I don't know what's happened, but she's probably not alive anymore. And he kind of has to move on. So his manager is saying, you need to get back into writing again. And he is grieving his wife. Like, he doesn't really want to write. So she says, okay, well, I've got a cabin in this random island in Scotland that used to be a author's cabin where he used to go and write his books. Go to this cabin, find some inspiration so that you can write a book. So he ends up going to this island, which is full of very strange people. They're all a bit weird, and he keeps seeing things and hearing things, and he's wondering whether it's real or not, because he's not really sleeping because obviously he's still grieving his wife. So he's like, am I just imagining these things? Like, what is going on? And I really struggled with that because it was like, well, what's real and what's an imagination? And then the ending didn't really make sense to me. Again, I really don't want to give it away just in case you want to read it. I ended up giving this 2.5 stars. Not my favourite, but I'm very keen to read some more of Alice Feeney's writing because I did enjoy the writing. I just wasn't a fan of the story. Okay, and then we're going on to the final series that I read for January, starting with Light Lark. I loved this series. I loved it, absolutely loved it. I'm not saying it's the best fantasy book that I've ever read, but I still really enjoyed it. So this is about 6 sort of realms. So it's a bit like the Hunger Games, I guess, where it's like different realms coming together and they have to fight. Basically, their lands are cursed, and every 100 years, Light Lark shows up, and the ruling leader of each of these 6 realms has to come together and work out how to break the curse, essentially. So the 6 realms, which is Wildling, Sunling, Moonling, Skyling, Starling, and Nightshade. So this follows the female main character, who is Isla, and she is the ruler of Wildling. And I loved the sort of imaginary scenes in this. Her realm is kind of to do with nature, and she lives in like a castle that is like built into nature. So like there's trees as bridges, and I just loved the scenery in this. And because this is becoming a movie, I'm so excited to see what they end up doing with this because I just loved the scenery in it. So yeah, this follows Isla, who is the Wildling ruler. She ends up obviously going to Light Lark to compete in the games because she has to, and she doesn't have any power. Every other ruler has their own powers, she doesn't. So yeah, it's kind of like trying to survive. I absolutely loved this book. Not so much in this book, but as you go on, it's a love triangle. So I loved that. So I gave this one 4.5 stars. We then go on to Nightbane, and as much as I really want to tell you about the following books, I can't because it'll give away the first one. So all I can tell you is that, again, I absolutely loved this book. I gave it 4.4/4.5 stars. I can't remember because in my book I can only put solid star. I need to put the 0.5 if I mean it, but I gave it 4/4.5 stars. I absolutely loved it, and it follows straight on from the last book because the last book ends on such a cliffhanger. I loved this book. Absolutely loved it. Okay, the next book is Sky Shade. I don't actually have the physical copy because I want to get this edition of it and it's not out yet, so I bought it on my Kindle. Again, I loved this book. They're all really, really good books, basically. I really enjoyed this storyline. Definitely would recommend. Again, I gave this one between 4 and 4.5 stars. Again, really high. Loved it. The next book I read was the Grimm and Oro. This is the novella. If you can't tell, this is who the love triangle is with. This was my favourite out of all of them. 5 stars. 5 stars. It kind of goes back into their past a little bit, so before the games and their point of view. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I have to say, I love both of them. I know that most people are Grimm girlies or guys. I love both of them. I don't know if there should be more like definition between not liking one character and loving another character, but I loved both of them. I thought they were both lovely. So yeah, 5 stars, guys. 5 stars. Okay, and the last book is Crown Tide. Again, I don't have it in person because I want the same copies so they all match. This was my least favourite out of all of the series. I still enjoyed it. I specifically love this book because it is in the point of view of the 3 characters. So you've got Isla, Grimm and Oro. Loved that. I really liked that. So that's winning for this book. However, again, without giving too much away, the characters were separated for a lot of the book. And yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but there wasn't enough romance in it for me, I don't think. It was a bit more war orientated, I guess, like fighting, and it's okay for me, but I'm not the biggest fan. So yeah, I gave this one 3 stars. So not my favourite, but I did really enjoy this series as a whole. So there we have it, guys. Those are all of the books that I read in January. I feel like it was a good month. I feel like it was a good month. As much as I didn't read as much as I wanted to, I feel like it was a good month. So I can't complain. What books did you read in January? Did you read all of your TBR that you were planning to read in January? What books were your favourite? Have you read any of the books I mentioned? What was your thoughts on them? Comment, let me know. Let's have a chat. Let's get the book group chat going. And yeah, I am well into my February TBR already. I feel like I'm going to read a lot of books this month, guys. I feel like I'm going to read more than I've already said, so I'm very, very excited. So if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you are interested in books or you like anything bookish. Please go and show some support because it absolutely means the world to me. If you've watched this far, thank you so, so much. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.